It's 7:22. Your comments coming through thick and fast. We'll be sharing a couple of them with you as we go along. But of course, we're having a conversation with Ebony's family this morning on One-on-One as we celebrate her. It's her birthday today. If she was alive, she would have been 21 years old and today. But at least we know as well that there's a new song that has been released. One of her latest in her memory. So we'll be sharing all of that with you, plus your comments that will be coming through, ahead of that particular segment. Now, though, we're looking at the big stories that are making the rounds, and I'll introduce my guests shortly. Breakfast review now. All right, so I'm joined by an insurance expert, Edgar Redu, to do this morning. Edgar, you're welcome to the show. Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen you the whole of 2018.
I forgot it already in a year.
I know, right?
I've forgotten all about that.
Yes.
All I know is that the days are running. Anyway, through years.
At least we have life.
Yes,
so,
of course. Yes, that's what I've been forgetting. That's the new year.
Edgar. Yeah. All right, so the biggest story this morning, the fuel prices captured, differently on all the front pages. So the Ghanaian Times says, what? Illegal. Okay, so this actually is talking about the illegal trade at sea. So we'll tie this in with the the fuel prices that are said to have gone down. How low, we'll find out. Exactly how much of an impact as well, we would try and interrogate a bit further. But we want you to tell us exactly what you feel or what you make of this downward review. And then, yes, the president as well has been speaking. He's ordering that criminals lay down their weapons or face the wrath of the police. We know that the police, following that commitment on the part of government to ensure that they are fully equipped to better, deliver, all of those resources have started coming in. We'll see exactly how far that will go as well, to support the work that they do. So, yeah, this is a big deal. Security issues, fuel issues, these are issues that affect us, personally as individuals. I want us to begin with fuel prices that are said to have gone down. So the Chronicle, commotion in Parliament over fuel prices, pages 2 and 3. Just a little background and then we begin our conversation. So there was heightened tension in Parliament yesterday when the bill for the amendment of the special petroleum tax was laid before the House to pave way for a 1.39% and 2.60% reduction of petroleum or petrol and diesel prices respectively. Okay, so Minority Chief Whip, Member of Parliament for Aswase, Alhaji Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, in opposition to the approval of the bill, moved by the Chairman of the Finance Committee, Mr. Mark Esibe Yabwa, and seconded by the Minister of Monitoring and Evaluation, Dr. Akoto Osei. He attempted to bring to the attention of the Speaker that the House did not form a quorum and that it would be against the Constitution to carry on with the process, since the Constitution requires a third member of the House to consider bills of such nature. So it goes on and on. And at least what we know is that we saw some 2% reduction. Really, I think 2 days ago, I just drove, even ahead of that, I've been driving around just trying to get the best, deals at all of these fuel stations. Bema, what do you make of this reduction? Anything to be celebrating?
Well, I find it a little bit funny. The way almost everyone is talking about it. And I ask myself, what is the good news in it? It's a useless exercise. They needn't even have done it. We are talking about, 72 pesos. From the 21 point something cedis, 72 pesos has gone off it. So now it's about 20 cedis something.
I bought it at 22 cedis, somewhere around La.
So if 72 pesos has gone off it, is this what we find? Is this what we are asking for? You see, the problem we have in this country, and it has been from the beginning of time, when you appoint wrong people to manage the affairs of the state, this is the kind of problem that you run into. The problem is that the government hasn't got any thinking brain as to how to generate revenue, okay, to see to their requests on the part of the nation. Because the government hasn't got ideas to generate revenue, all they are interested in is mobilizing revenue. So in mobilization of revenue, it means any little opportunity you get, you tax it. And that is the situation in which we find ourselves in. You want to put yourself, look, today, let's ask ourselves. So if tomorrow, crude prices on the world market hits $84, what are we going to do? If it hits $84, what are we going to do? You see, the kind of arithmetic or whatever we're doing in this system is all based on one funny thing. The thing is that because you want to get money to do what you think is requested of you, you have to come up with these things. And you are finding it difficult. Somewhere in the story, they are making the case that it is going to be a 47 point something million revenue that the government is going to lose for the year.
Yeah, so Deputy Finance Minister says, look, this is going to create a shortfall in the budget.
That is where it's so sad, because they don't have ideas. They don't know how to generate revenue. If they know how to generate revenue, they will not be taxing petroleum to the extent. You have about 9 different types of taxes on petroleum. And apart from the 9 different taxes, you are coming with all kinds of margins, this, margins, that, margins, this, and all that. So why would the thing not rise? Even if you want to do it and make sure that it is cushioned, right, you must have a certain threshold. That, look, if we get to a certain threshold, we are no longer going to deal with percentages, but we are going to deal with fixed figures. So if what is on the world market would come to, let's say, 18,000, right? If it is 18,000, we are not going to go beyond the 18,000. So the various percentages that are there for the various taxes, we would have looked at it when it was maybe 16,000, how much they were allocated to each of the taxes, and we'll give out a fixed figure instead of always maintaining the percentages.
But you're suggesting that this is a tax that should have been easily scrapped.
That is the position that some others are coming in, because they believe that that particular tax was introduced at the time fuel prices or crude prices are gone all down low, and therefore they needed a certain cushion. Okay, they needed a certain cushion. That is why they brought in that stabilization tax.
But you think that it was wrong, because then there are other areas that we could have been taxing.
You don't need to tax. You don't need to tax. Yes, you see, you don't need to tax people. If you are thinking sharp, you can generate revenue. That is all the bottom line.
And undoubtedly, and yes, we won't restrict this to just this government. It's almost as if that governments struggle to raise revenue.
And that's what I'm saying, because they lack ideas. When it is all over for you, you lack ideas. For instance, why did Ken Ofori-Atta go to Singapore, Hong Kong, looking for Eurobond, when you can get the money here? It's lack of ideas. That is what the bottom line is.
Let's share with our viewers some of these areas, for instance, that we could be looking at.
Common sense. We have said it, time without number. Time without number. Look, if just yesterday, or when was Valentine's? Yesterday or 2 days ago? 2 days ago. Yeah. How much did Kenya make? How much did Kenya make from the export of flowers? How much money did Kenya make from the export of flowers? Their export of flowers is over $1 billion. We have a whole Afram Plains sitting there with weeds. A whole Afram Plains sitting there with weeds. And I say common sense. If you cannot get $1 billion, so you are going out to look for Eurobond, you are finding ways of taxing petroleum, then what is your use? When you have the soil available for you. In the year 2002, 2003, Osafo Maafo made a case in Parliament that, look, we have been dependent on cocoa for too long, and there's a need for we to look at a second commodity, right, to help generate revenue for the country. After that statement, up to today, that's the end of it. Today in Ghana, we have imported chocolates to the tune of $6 million.
Yeah.
The cocoa that we have here, we cannot do our own chocolates well in this country. We've imported chocolates to the tune of $6 million. Meanwhile, the cocoa is coming from here.
So for you, instead of focusing our attention on petroleum to raise funds for the country, these are all areas that we could be looking at.
So many areas.
What really do you think is the challenge? What is the challenge?
Said lack of ideas. You are getting the wrong people.
You think they don't know?
Of course, if they knew why. Listen, let me tell something. There's this guy, that Kenyan professor, what do you call it? Lumumba, or whatever they call it, right? He made a very fantastic statement. He said, those in power don't have ideas. Those who don't have ideas are the ones sitting down. How can we, look, let me ask you this question. In 2001, okay, President Kufuor made the statement that we were importing rice to the tune of over $100 million into this country. We've had how many ministers of agriculture since that time to date? And what is the import bill of rice in this country? So what language more do you want to understand? If they were fit and they were capable of doing the job, right, that $100 million would have scaled it down. Everything is going up. It is not a question of speaking English language. It's not a question of grammar. It is not a question of the number of letters you have attached to your names. And that is what our parliamentarians are so interested in. When somebody is brought to vetting, they will waste about 1 hour on the person's CV, right? As to the, how do you call it? Someone said in Amidu's vetting, 22% of the whole time was wasted on his CV. I mean, that's the kind of things that we are interested in. Okay? So he submits a CV of 25 pages. I mean, look at that. When they are, look, I'll tell you one thing. Maybe we've forgotten. Years back, there was this gentleman called Steve Obimpe. Yes, Steve Obimpe. Yes, he was with, how do you call it? He used to do, it was at that time, mobilization and something. When the time the returnees came from Nigeria, then soon after, we had this hangar business in Ghana and all that. Then Rawlings moved him to the Ministry of Agric. That guy spent about 15% of his whole time in the ministry in the office. He was all the time in the bush. And we started recovering, and then we had harvest of food in this country. When you are getting wrong people into places, these are the kind of things you should expect. We sit in this country, and we are getting to a certain level that monies that you can easily get. Look at last year, as of September, Ghana has imported $150 million of palm oil into this country. This one, does it ring a bell? Does it make sense to you? Ghana had imported $150 million worth of palm oil into this country. From where? From Malaysia. Meanwhile, the Malaysians, they came from the Abe. They came for it from here. So
others are bereft of ideas.
That's all, simple.
And they're not able to make the right decisions that will impact positively.
So they will want to squeeze every little thing out of. Look at the previous government, for instance. Everything, taxes, and that is why this government came. And then, or before they were coming, they were complaining. They used the word nuisance taxes. And then, as they have come, one was expecting that something better would have been done. This same tax that they have reduced from 15 to 13, they didn't criticize it.
Maybe reality has now hit them.
So it tells you that they lack the ideas.
So I mean, it's definitely a drop in the ocean. I want to hear from you exactly what you make of all of this. Okay, I heard Mr. Kwaku Kwarteng, once again, Deputy Finance Minister, yesterday, speaks to the fact that eventually we'll begin to feel the impact of this reduction, and I'm yet to see that. I don't know if industry probably will be. Is this probably one that industry could be rejoicing over?
This is why I'm asking you the question as an individual. It is 72 pesos of 21 Ghana cedis. And even, how do you call it? A sachet of pure water is how much?
Guys.
A sachet of pure water is certainly more than even 1 cedi. You see, a sachet of pure water.
3 cedis. 3 cedis, 50 pesos.
Yes.
A sachet of.
Yes.
Oh, you mean the bag?
The bag.
Oh, okay.
And you said you've reduced it by 72 pesos. Because you said it was 4.61 or 4.67, and it's per liter, and it has now come to 4.51. So it's 16 pesos of a liter. So for a gallon, it's 72 pesos. And people are saying it's so good. That's cushioning the problems. And I'm saying that. So if the fuel, and you know, people are still fighting for the prices to go up. If the fuel price gets to $80, I don't know what will happen. Or like in Kufuor's time, when it hit $140 per barrel, I don't know what will happen. I mean, we must find a proper arithmetic base to do these calculations. Get rid of all these unnecessary taxes and think of how to generate revenue. And that will be better instead of concentration on mobilizing. And mobilizing is all what? Taxing the ordinary man.
Well, I'm getting a lot of your messages. So you say that what? My name is Joshua Smith from Enchi in the Western region. I want to, okay, you're sending out a birthday dedication. I'll do that later on. Let me identify one that relates to line of conversation. So I saw one that said that so Bonti Benjamin from Achim Ebuakwa, you say the reduction in fuel prices is timely and a good sign for better days for consumers. God bless the Ebola Kufuor government. Thank you, Bonti Benjamin. From Kwadaso, Mami Soja, you say that what? Mr. Okay, you're talking about Mr. Amidu. I'll read that shortly, okay? Please forgive me. I want. Okay, so Francis, or Citizen Francis, NPP Facebook caucus, you say that when prices of petroleum products goes up by 2%, we will complain. When it is reduced by same, we will still complain about it. So what exactly do we want as a people? At least you think that we should appreciate the efforts by the new government. So this is a very huge achievement, I guess. Okay, thank you very much, Citizen Francis. And then Binta from Ashaiman, you say that I feel pity for Ghanaians. When NDC is in power, we're complaining. Now it is the turn of the NPP and we're still complaining. Ghana. All right. Well, so yeah, let's be topic specific, if we like. Okay, so now we're discussing the fuel prices, and let's send in messages that relate to the conversation, and then when we get to the other ones as well. But as well, I mean, I think bottom line, it's a fact that, well, for me, I don't know about you, for me, it doesn't do anything really. So you can tell me what you also think. The Chronicle report that I was reading early on was more to the you know, I don't know if I should call it confrontation or probably minority leader, just being, frank. The tone, the posturing that we saw in Parliament yesterday, and at a point I cringed, and I'm asking myself that, is this coming out of, the House? How did we get here?
Oh, we got along ago. We got along ago, not now. I'm a little bit surprised that you people, you have time for these politicians. Look, was it the third parliament, I think the third parliament, right? There was an issue like that between Alban Bagbin and then the late Peter Alajiti. When he told Alajiti that he put him there and you after him. Che Mensa Bonsu has had his own square with Duajahu.
Indeed.
And I mean, it's been going up and down. That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised that we have time for these politicians. I would have loved the situation where someone from the other side would support the other side and say that, I think this is in order. So today, if you have someone like maybe the majority leader putting up an attitude, and then the minority complains about it, then someone from the majority side come to support what the minority is saying, that I think my colleague on the other side is right, then we can begin to talk about getting a better parliament.
But how about the manner in which it is communicated?
My dear, I'm saying this. So far as all the majority will see one, and the minority will never see one.
Indeed.
And they would always see two. These things are bound to happen, and it's normal. But if half of the majority can say that we don't agree with this side of our own house, then we can begin to say we are getting the parliament that Ghanaians deserve.
Well, I mean, there have been instances where I think we've had support from both sides.
It is not a question it's not a question of consensus. What I'm saying is this: there's an issue that has been raised.
And okay, so the issue, for instance, that happened yesterday.
Yes. Now let's get a majority man to come and say he supports what the minority is saying. That is what I'm saying.
That's I respect you, but if you invite me, I will disrespect you.
What is the problem? The problem is this: that you see, the minority, they have nothing apart from their position in parliament. They are not in government.
Of course not.
Their position in parliament is all that they have. And therefore, the minority leader is an important human being in that setup. Right? So then that is the only place that their voice is well articulated. And it is not for any reason why you see that the minority leader, when he stands up, he must be recognized. And when he stands up, everybody should sit. You get it?
Yes.
And it is a very important, because as it stands now, he's the most recognized person in the opposition.
Would you rather that the minority leader had said this in a different way?
It is not a question of saying a different way.
I am looking.
He was provoked because he had been standing on his feet for over 6 minutes.
I get it.
Yes, but when the majority leader stood up, the speaker recognized him.
Yeah, I get it. And we all
it is blood that runs through his veins. It's not just ordinary water. So he's got feelings.
So that sometimes, irrespective of whatever position that you occupy, the fact that you're human and blood runs through your vein and you're provoked, you can just say anything.
And you see,
I'm coming from this angle where we have children, you know, who are watching on. What are we teaching our young ones who are in the future, you know, going to be taking these positions to represent our nation?
That is why what happens in parliament is a record for parliament, and it is not something that is used outside.
Well, then we don't have to put it on TV then.
Well, that's another matter. But then also, and people will tell you that even the parliament that we have is better, because they'll tell you about chairs and blows that are flying around in other parliaments.
It doesn't make it right.
Fine. So the question is that do not provoke it. You are the Speaker of the House. You are the umpire. You are not supposed to be a biased person, impartial person. You are not supposed to be part of the debate. You don't take sides.
Now that you've taken me there, I mean, what is your own view of the Speaker and how he's handled himself?
And that is the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making, that, look, you are the Speaker. You are not supposed to be a biased person. You're supposed to be impartial.
So you think he's being biased?
No, but then that's what I'm saying. If the man is standing on his feet, and you know that he's standing on his feet because he wants to make a contribution, and that kind of recognition is something that he is entitled to. So if you shut a blind eye to him, and then the other person wakes up and then you recognize him, what language are you trying to pass on to him? It means that you are not trying to give him the recognition that he deserves. And as I said, he is the epitome. You see, the minority leader is the officially known person so far as governance in this country is concerned. You get it? So if you fail to give him that recognition, then what are you trying to say? And we all realize, look, let me tell you one thing. I remember very well when Chairman Sabunsu, then minority leader, speaking about the attitude of Doe Ajaho, right? Use words as whimsically and capriciously overusing his position and all that. It's in the same manner. He expressed dissatisfaction about the Speaker's behavior.
Is that what the minority is supposed to do?
What I'm saying is that if you see start listening to me carefully. I said at the time Chairman Sabunsu complained bitterly about the Speaker's position at that time.
Right.
If we had members of the majority supporting what he said, then we would have said that we are talking about a good parliament. Unfortunately, nobody from the majority side supported, that is Haruna's side. Haruna side, nobody supported Chairman Mensah, and now today it has ended the other way around, right? And now Haruna is complaining. When it was done to Chairman Mensah Bonsu, they did not talk. Now it is done to him, he is talking, and nobody too from the other side is, and that's what I'm saying, that when you look at these human beings, it's not worth wasting your time on them.
I think your point has been made, so I'll leave it here. I still want to hear from you, okay? I'm getting a lot of messages speaking to other issues. We will share those as we go along. Let's now look at page 17 of today's edition of the Ghanaian Times. Yeah. So the headline says, lay down weapons or face police wrath, and that's the president ordering criminals. What does this say? So President Akufo-Addo, he's urged criminals and organized gangs operating in various parts of the country to lay down their weapons or face the full wrath of the police. The president said his administration would not sit aloof and allow the country to be overrun by criminals and miscreants. Yeah, I saw the look on your face. That's the first gentleman of the land speaking to security issues. That's a very, very unfortunate statement the president should have made. The president has failed the nation in that regard. The president is the boss of national security. And you have a whole national security minister. I was disappointed when the president in the State of the Nation's address made a statement on security and talked about that issue relating to the nomadic herdsmen, and all he said was that they are now going to see to the building of the kraals and then the ranches. For Christ's sake, we are in this country and nomadic human beings are holding weapons all over, killing our women in the farms, shooting our military guys, shooting our police officers. You go to some places, the kids cannot even go to school. Farmlands are being destroyed. And national security is sitting down. And the president can only just come and talk about kraals and ranches. And you are saying that they should lay their what? the criminals should lay their whatever. Well, in the wake of the high incidence of all of these things that you have mentioned, we're talking about another time without number. It is a failure on the part of the president. He is the boss. And he has a national security minister. And if you are in this country, and nomadic men can come into this country with such ammunitions and kill innocent people in this country, and you are just talking, then what is the use of the national, the security minister? What's his use? You know, let me tell you one thing here. The Small Arms Commission, right, has made it clear that we have over 1 million arms in the hands of people. Over 1 million. Look, somewhere in the north, they have by force curfew. Okay? Just 2 or 3 days ago, or was it Monday or so, right? Some people sitting on a motorbike went to rob some mobile something in Kumasi, and then they just shot them. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. In Tamahia, Mankwazi runabout. Some guy came from the bank, people sitting on the motorbike go, and then they shoot, and then they took I mean, and you have national security, and this is what the president is saying, the boss of national security. Is it the case that, like you said early on, that our leaders probably they lack the ideas? Or of course, you are getting the wrong people into office. Because you see, there are people who, given the job, they will do it to perfection. Political chronism, just put any human being there, and we suffer the brunt. Look at one of a wasteful, useless exercise, like going to buy 100 Toyota Corollas for policemen. Such a wasteful, useless exercise. Spending our monies recklessly. If you have used this money, and you know, there's something that I even heard later that on news for Kweku Baku said that those cars are for administrative purposes. My goodness. when people are dying, when we need to combat crime, you say administrative, so they should sit in from their homes to their offices. When even next door to the police headquarters is the fire service, right?
The chief of fire service is telling the staff there that they don't have money to buy protective clothing for them, so they should use their own money to buy protective clothing. Fire outbreak. 3 fire officers are bent to nothing. They are lying down in Korle Bu. Who has even gone there to see them?
Edgar, to be charitable, if you like.
Where the word charitable means?
Could it be that we just do not know exactly what the priorities are, not necessarily the fact that we do not know exactly what we have to do.
Listen, you have a minister. You have a minister. That is why you have a minister for interior, right? If the minister for interior, who is responsible for these institutions, thinks it's necessary for you to buy 100 Toyota Corolla vehicles for police to sit in their homes to their offices, and fire service personnel do not have protective clothing,
and the police themselves do not even have the...
No, what I'm saying, and you say you are going to buy for them, and then the fire servicemen do not have clothing, and therefore they are asked to use their own salary to buy, justify the purchase of the Toyota Corolla cars for them to drive into offices. Do you know the number of fire servicemen who have become impotent as a result of this firefighting? What compensation is given to them at the end of the day? And one of the things that I even found very, very funny, ridiculous, was the fact that the police administration says that what there's a welfare package of 50,000.
Yes,
and Apietu feels so happy, and Bruce Derry feels so happy to come and announce it. It's an insult. When an ordinary worker loses his life in the course of his job, he's paid almost 50,000. A policeman who faces triple risk, a policeman who faces triple risk, you are also giving him 50,000. Are we sick? You see, and I'm telling you where the problem is. The problem is that if the Minister for Labor, Employment knows what his work is, he would have been able to bring a proper LI to Parliament. Okay? A proper LI to Parliament, and made it such that any police officer who dies in the course of his duty, right, the remaining years that he has, his salary must be paid every day to whoever the spouse or whatever it is, like, so that even you have children of what, they are guaranteed that, like their father were to be alive, they will get their school.
Well, probably we've been able to mobilize the funds as we're supposed to. We are
not talking of mobilization. That's what I'm saying. That if you money. That's what I'm saying. Justify the 34 whatever bulletproof vehicles that the president is riding in. Of what value is it? You can go onto the net and check Macron. Check Macron's presidential.
Elsewhere, people are riding trains.
No, I said check Macron's presidential motorcade. And Theresa May, check her president, and even Putin, check their presidential motorcade and see whether it is only in Africa. A useless country like Uganda has 49 vehicles in presidential motorcade, so it can take even the whole of the ring road if you are driving. When would you get to the office? Look, Nana Akufo-Addo, it was God who brought you to that cell. The same God who brought you there will protect you. You don't need those bulletproof cars to protect you, right? It is the same God. He says that what? Is that Psalm 127? He says it clear. If you are building a house and he is not part of it, the building is nothing. If you are sleeping and I am not protecting you, forget about the watchman. He can't take care of you. So if you cannot put your trust in him, as they say, some put their trust in chariots, some put their trust in horse, and you want to put your trust in bulletproof car. Sit down. I mean, you got to get some kind of things.
What a way to wrap it up. It is 7:56 GH Today Live on GH1 TV. Edgar Redu has been here with me, throwing light on all the issues, that are making the rounds. Edgar, just before I let you go, just in a minute, tell me, I am excited about this, online processes at the court. So courts go digital, filing to be done online. But I'm not comfortable because in Ghana, everything online has challenges. How are we supposed supposed to ensure that this introduction of online processes truly facilitates, the court work?
Well, let me declare very biggest. I am a biased person when it comes to the court. I am biased when it comes to the court. So anything about the court, I'll see it in a positive line. Okay.
It definitely is, but there are challenges.
Oh, naturally. But you see, you start, and as you go along the line, you see the difficulties, and then you try to improve on it. It's long overdue. And in fact, it's not the court. Look, even the ministries. It's sad, the ministries, when you are driving just behind the stadium road, look at the ministries. You see all manner of files taken out of windows, paper so dirty. And all these things could have been digitized. Up to now, we've not been able to digitize all these documents. And today, if even there's some disaster, it means you've lost everything that you have. It's all common sense. If you get the right people in place, they'll fix all these things in no time. If others are doing it, they're only interested in themselves. That is what these politicians are doing.
All right. Well, I believe that all of these, old way of doing things in the courts is partly the reason why we see delayed justice. So good luck to them. Let's see exactly how best they're able to use it for the good of Ghana. My name is Baiswa. Edgar Reid, who's been my guest. He's an insurance expert. And you as well have been contributing, been sending in all of those messages. We'll be reading a couple of them more as we go along. King Kaf returns with more. We're celebrating Ebony, and I'm seeing a lot of messages that we're going to be sharing. Keep them coming through all our social media platforms. It is GH Today, and we continue. Don't go.
Priscilla Opoku Kwarteng, known by the stage name Ebony, was a Ghanaian dancehall Afrobeat artist widely known for her hit songs Poison, Sponsor, Date Your Father, Hustle, Coupe and many more. She was discovered by Bullet, a member of Rough and Smooth fame. The dancehall queen bagged various awards including Bass Awards 2017 Artist of the Year, People's Celebrity Awards 2017 Favorite Female Musician, and many more. Ebony was a fun, bubbly young lady who loved life. From a young underground musician to a huge act, criticized for how she dressed, the dancehall queen raised her head high and did what she does best by bringing fun, excitement and good music to our various homes. The late afternoon show and the entire GH1 TV is saddened by her demise. God puts people in our life for a reason and removes them from your life for a better reason. Ebony, 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 you surely did reign. May your beautiful soul rest in perfect peace.
When I'm down and I need something to chill me out, well, it's an exclusive drink, vanilla flavored and so refreshing. Special Malt. Special Malt. Guess what? Special Malt makes me feel okay. Special Malt. Giving you the system before drink and see. Special Malt. Special Malt makes me feel okay. Special Malt. So clean and smooth. Oh yeah, enjoy yourself. Special Malt. Special Malt makes me feel okay. Special Malt. Guess what? Special Malt makes me feel okay. Special